If you've been charged with a DUI in Indianapolis, here's what's going to happen step by step. So the first part of a DUI investigation is an officer pulling you over. Now, maybe he personally observed some unsafe lane movements, maybe you ran a red light, or maybe someone from the public called in saying there's a potential drunk driver on the roads. No matter what, the first step is the officer actually pulling you over. Now, the officer is going to be looking for clues immediately to determine whether or not you're intoxicated. So he's going to be seeing if you smell like alcohol, if you have water your bloodshot eyes, if you can't answer simple questions, if you're having a hard time pulling yourself from the vehicle or obtaining your driver's license, registration, things of that nature. Ultimately, the officer is going to be looking for observations so that he can pull you out of the car to conduct field sobriety tests. Now, field sobriety tests are going to be the HGN test, which is where the officer goes like this, one-legged stand and also a walk and turn. Basically, the officer is trying to get enough information so that he can ask you for implied consent. And implied consent is when the officer believes that you are driving intoxicated, they're going to ask you to either take a certified breath test at the police station or take you for a blood draw at the hospital. By having an Indiana driver's license, you consent to these sorts of things if an officer believes you're intoxicated. And if you do not consent to the blood draw or the breath test, then your driver's license is going to be suspended for a year. So after the officer has made his determination and either takes you to the hospital, takes you down to the police station, then you're going to be booked into custody. Now, a lot of times you'll be booked in and released that same night. Sometimes you're going to be held until you're able to see a judge, or sometimes a judge is going to be able to post a bond before you see him. And that's typically what we see in Indianapolis, especially for someone where it's your first time being in trouble. After you are released from jail, the case may or may not be filed. In Indianapolis, what we've been seeing lately is the state will delay filing a case because they're waiting on the results from that toxicology screening. Sometimes that can take a couple weeks, sometimes it can take a couple months, but the state has 2 years to file the case. So if you're arrested in, say, July and no case is filed, it could be July the following year when the case is finally filed. And that may seem frustrating because a lot of people will move or forget about this. But again, a lot of times the state's waiting on the toxicology results before they formally file the case. Once the case is filed, you're going to be given what's called an initial hearing date. And that is your first time to be face in front of the judge. Now, for an OVWI case, the state at that initial hearing is going to ask that your driver's license be suspended, either due to a refusal, meaning you didn't accept the implied consent of the officer, or if they have that toxicology result back and it shows that there's prima facie evidence that you are intoxicated and you are driving that vehicle. Now, it's very important to have an attorney with you at this initial hearing because an attorney is going to be the one that can keep you driving while the case is proceeding. If you are not a refusal and you accepted the blood draw, then an attorney could ask for specialized driving privileges. And that's basically a hardship license to get you driving to and from school, work, basically all of your life necessities while the case is proceeding. Now, if you did refuse the chemical test, an attorney still can get you driving while the case is pending under certain circumstances. And that is with a motion for an interlock device in lieu of suspending your license. An interlock device is one of the breathalyzers that's installed in your car. Your car won't operate until you blow in there and show that you're not intoxicated. After your initial hearing starts what's called the discovery process. And that's the timeline where the state is going to be giving over all of the evidence it has on you. So that's body cam, dash cam, toxicology results, witness statements, things of that nature. That can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days. The discovery process is also a time for your attorney to give things on your behalf to the state. Now, these could be defenses showing that you weren't the person driving, that you were under the legal limit. If you were charged with an OVWI that involved non-alcohol, so prescription medications, maybe that you had a prescription for, anything on your defense, you have to turn over to the state the same way the state has to turn everything over to the defense. If you are facing a DUI in Indianapolis, we know it can be very stressful. These things can affect your life, your work, and just your overall happiness. But we do this day in and day out, and we know we can make this process as easy as it can be for you. If you're facing a DUI in Indianapolis, please give us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm a phone call, 317-632-3642. And always remember, plead fifth.